Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Hi.
Great.
So fun to have the three of us on here. It's
Yeah.
packed house. Love it. How has been the last couple weeks without me on here? I've been missing it.
Oh, you were in Peru.
Yes, I was out for not very fun reasons, but yeah, it seems like you guys had a really good time. Sarah was on the podcast
Yeah.
and definitely moving up. Very nice.
Yeah.
It was all good.
I think it was as goofy as usual. I mean, I think because when Sarah kind of sat in and watched, she was like, oh, okay, I get it. You guys are funny. You guys like to laugh. Okay, I can do this.
Yeah, it's not quite so
Turns out
serious.
it's a comedy. It's a comedy show.
We try to be
We
funny.
try. Yeah. I don't know how often I'm successful, but we do our best. All right, I'll take us through last week's headlines. Paul wrote a story as it was breaking about the GOP-led rejection of Trump's NIH cuts. It was basically one of the first pieces of good news for NIH funding since Trump's inauguration. And it's to actually say it, we're going to dive into more later in the podcast, but the Senate bill gives NIH a $400 million raise, which is not what any of us were expecting. So really fun to finally have some good news on that end. Claire wrote a story about Vinay Prasad exiting FDA following Trump's, quote, right-hand juggernaut, unquote, Laura Loomer, labeling him a, again, quote, Trojan horse of the administration's Make America Healthy Again initiative. Sarah wrote a story about this year's U.S. News and World Report cancer hospital rankings, and Barnett Kramer, former director of NCI's Division of Cancer Prevention, wrote a story about the apolitical nature of USPSTF. This week's cancer policy section featured a UPenn study that supported the continued use of binary voting at the Oncologic Drug Advisory Committee, or at their meetings, adding to an ongoing conversation about the role of voting in advisory committee meetings at FDA. So today we'll be talking about both Claire and Paul's story, hence they're both here. And we'll start with Paul. Your story was an absolute doozy. It started as a cancer policy story, and then as you were reporting, you were like, wait, it needs to be a story. And then on Thursday, I'm going to ask what happened on Thursday, but you were like, no, this actually needs to be the lead. So I'd love to hear about how that sort of evolved last week.
Oh my God. So there's really nothing especially exciting about a Senate report on the spending bill. I mean, really, it's a total. All right, we gotta have it. We'll do a story. No big deal. And I started working on it on July 31st in the morning, trying to put it all together. Whew, boring. No, not boring. Yeah, you do it. You bang it out. You move on. It's fine. I've done maybe how many of these? 2 per year. 1 for House, 1 for Senate, at least. So, sometimes we assign. Sometimes I don't get to do them, which is fine too. Actually, a little bit better for me. I don't mean to belittle this stuff. It's essential to have, but it's routine. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to make sense of it. And we've been getting kind of good signals from the Hill, but they're just little signals, although one of them was kind of big, which was the size of the allocation on the House side. So, but it's still a signal. It's still just one thing. We have no idea. And then suddenly, in the middle of the day of July 31st, I'm starting to realize, my God, this is some of the best Washington work in a generation done by people in the cancer community. Some strategy, some stuff that, at some point, it's a story for another day, how it happened. Yeah. But the fact that it happened, it was unmistakable that these things don't just happen. Okay. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But basically what we learned is that instead of cutting NIH, both the House and Senate, the Senate is actually giving NIH a raise, and the House has essentially an allocation that does not reflect the president's priorities of cutting NIH by 40%. God knows why. And these are Republicans.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a letter from 14 moderate Republicans. I call them moderate because they signed the letter. They may disagree. But the letter basically says to OMB, hey, turn loose the money you are holding back from NIH for FY25. So we're basically, what this probably means is that FY26 appropriations will almost certainly, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, and I certainly wouldn't be betting on the field I cover, I certainly do not have any inside knowledge here, but I think I'll still bet that what's going to happen is we're going to end up with a CR in October, and the CR is going to flat fund NIH at FY25 level, which is exactly 40% better than the 40% cut that the administration has in mind. So, a sigh of relief as far as I'm concerned.
I know.
Because, we're all we are impartial. We cover science, but we believe in science. We believe in spending science, money for science. We believe in all of this, or else we should be doing something else.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that, I haven't been here that long, but it's funny to be breathing a sigh of relief for flat funding. Normally that's not very exciting, but this year it's different.
Yeah, there's future.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could tell me about sort of the other things that were included in the bill besides the actual funding that, the field is sort of, was nervous about, I guess, and protesting in different capacities.
Well, yeah, there's the 15% flat funding for indirect costs. That's not there. There was the reorganization of NIH, which was cutting it back, the numbers of institutes. It's not there. There were huge cuts to CDC, not there. My God, when all the stars kind of started aligning and I started to understand what happened, I said, holy mackerel. And you guys were witnessing this because I was kind of coming unglued because I'm realizing that this tiny story is actually not tiny at all. And it was going to be buried somewhere, buried, but it was going to be in a very good place, but still it's not the lead. And I'm starting to realize, my God, this is work. I better confirm all of my hunches. And it's the lead. So it just got pushed up. And I actually, to be really brutally honest, and maybe it's too much information, I bought this bike. It was my birthday, and I bought this really good bike. And I was going to actually just take lunch break and go pick it up at this bike shop. But I couldn't do that. So
I didn't know that.
It was my birthday proper, and I was feeling a little frustrated about having to.
And this bike has its own narrative arc across the podcast the past couple of weeks. I think we've all been waiting to see and hear, maybe get a little video of Paul riding.
I can show you the
gear
bike.
Grinder or whatever it's called.
What kind of
gravel
grinder?
Gravel grinder.
Gravel grinder.
A type of like coffee machine.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
No, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's
like a gravel.
Yeah, true.
I never heard of it before. I was like, is this like a new Chemex product?
Yeah, what is different about, why is it not just a gravel bike? To really get
it is
off
a gravel
here.
bike. That's exactly the same thing.
Okay.
It's not a mountain bike.
I get you. So it's like a hybrid? Is that the
you could call it a hybrid. A generation ago, you might have called it a hybrid. You might have called it a cyclocross bike some time ago as well. But when you say cyclocross at a certain kind of bike shop, you show your age. It's now the proper terminology, and you've got to be cool at a cool bike shop when you're buying a bike.
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement. So you have to say gravel grinder, and they say,
Got it. That's good to know.
You're a gravel grinder, and so. It was really, yeah, I've taken it out. I've been playing with it all weekend. It's been great.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I'm glad you got that because I know that the story also threatened to ruin your birthday dinner too. So I'm glad that you were able to have your birthday dinner and also got to play with your.
No, it was. I mean, I view it as a huge present because I'm kind of we are a part of this community. Yeah. We to us. I mean, you cut a cancer center. You it hurts. So it's not, we are invested in this. So I wasn't, I was really tired and surprised and feeling real pressure from the story, but
but ultimately very happy.
Ultimately,
that you were
it was such a relief to get it out and to let the world know, to let our readers know that, my God, you don't have to look for other jobs. You don't have to drive an Uber.
Why was no one else reporting on this? Do we know? Is it
because
just
I picked
that
it
nuanced?
up. I figured it out. I lined
You broke the news.
pieces. Yeah. I mean, I aligned the pieces. I mean, I was awake. Okay. I'm not saying anybody else was asleep, but I'm not sure I've seen anyone really say what all of this means because this is just one of the spending bills. We have the readership that cares about this spending bill.
Yeah, definitely.
There's also a defense part of the bill. There's a lot to the Senate props.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about this story before we shift to Prasad?
No, I think we should shift to Prasad as soon as possible.
You would say that?
I mean, I'm one of the Prasad watchers, so it was really interesting what happened. And that story too was really quite a monster, and Claire did such a lovely job of it, of telling it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you shifted to that like on Tuesday or Wednesday too, right? Like we were working on a different story earlier in the week, so you got that done fast.
Something like that. Yeah. Monday we were talking about the fact that Laura Loomer had come for him. It's sunk her talons into him and kind of conjecturing on what that might mean or what the fallout could be. And then, sure enough.
Yeah.
So as soon as he was out, we both saw, oh my God, all of us saw, this is a big story. And Claire, since joining the Cancer Letter, also became a Prasad watcher.
It's my beat.
Did you ever imagine that in journalism school?
Never imagined that.
To be a Prasad watcher?
No.
Why?
No. It wasn't on my 2025 bingo card, as the kids say.
Uh-huh.
Well, Claire, can you walk us through sort of what actually happened, just so people who haven't read the story?
Let's even start with who Prasad is.
Yeah, seriously.
Sure. I mean, I got to know, quote unquote, Prasad since joining the Cancer Letter, but I think you've talked to him. He's been featured before. I came in when he joined FDA as CBER director. Reported on that. It was kind of it was a surprise in some ways, and I guess not so much of a surprise in other ways. A lot of, these folks all kind of have one thing in common, and it's this COVID era solidarity. And Vinay was a big part of that in 2021. Big pandemic critic. And I mean, his opinions are all out there. They're all over the internet. Definitely like a public contrarian, cyber iconoclast personality. And so, I mean, the way we were kind of framing this story is that it feels a bit karmic, almost like a cautionary tale. Less than 3 months into his job as CBER director, and also his promotion as chief scientific and medical officer, a new job. He had three jobs, three big jobs. Now he has none. He's opinionated and frankly pretty insensitive online. And that kind of guarantees enemies. And, so we kind of saw his own ideology almost come back around to do him dirty. there's kind of a trifecta of things that happened, and I can launch into what actually happened. It was a really busy week, a really bad week for Prasad, and all of this kind of transpired over the course of a few days. But if you wanted to talk more about who he was coming into CBER, feel free, Paul.
I first met him when he was a fellow at NIH.
Yeah.
At NCI. And then his name started showing up more and more in very interesting contexts because, he's almost like a journalist in a sense, except he's opining more than most journalists. And for a while, a lot of people liked working with him, people I respect, because it's really nice to have access to a naysayer, because it makes everybody better to have a naysayer among your advisors, friends, or what have you. He and I spoke, but we were never really friends, but we could very well have been his friends. He's a friend of many of my friends. And actually, Barry Kramer was one of the people who trained him briefly. Barry Kramer, who wrote that piece of U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. In a way, Barry raised a whole sort of cadre of naysayers and skeptics, and really myself included in that number, even though I've never been formally trained by him. But my friend Otis was, and so, and Vinay as well. So a lot of people really liked him. But then something was happening, and I'm not sure it was wrong, really. He did not want to take he took very aggressive stances all the time. Maybe too much so. To some extent, it was almost like, but is it wrong for somebody who is opinionated and is doing what is now online journalism to be doing that? I don't know. I've disagreed with him on a number of occasions, and quite publicly. And if you look at the cancer letter, we've done a lot on this. So there's all of this stuff that he writes, but if you reach into this body of work that is Prasad's body of work, you'll find everything in it, every direction.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was Laura Loomer didn't have a whole lot of difficulty finding whatever she wanted, including famously the voodoo doll. What did you think of that, Claire? The voodoo doll?
Yeah. Well, so she had already written this really lengthy kind of critique, rife with screenshots of past tweets or ex posts proving that Prasad was anti-Trump and a Bernie bro and, catastrophically unvetted or something like that. I think she used that language. And then she wrote an exclusive post on her website, Loomered. And the image is this AI generated Trump voodoo doll, side by side with Prasad's face. And what she had done was unearth one of his podcasts, the plenary session from 2021, where he joked about, cursing and stabbing a Trump voodoo doll. And she was basically like, is this the guy? Is this the guy that we want here? Does he align with Maha? Does he align with his administration? And the day after that post came out, he resigned.
And if you think about it, you were the one who actually pointed this out. If you really listen to what he says and you link to that, he says, I'm mad. I'm really mad. Yeah. I'm really mad that COVID is happening. This is really terrible. What do I do? Do I build a Trump voodoo doll? And then they just keep on going about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was clearly a joke. Taking it out of context to me is, it's a little petty, but that's kind of her.
No, but it's, I don't know if either one of us would be caught talking about voodoo dolls of any sort, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Prasad that makes him special, I think, is that he has never, he's been consistent to the end. He's never shied from expressing his public opinions. He didn't, as far as we know, he didn't do any social media cleanup before joining FDA. It's all there, So it seems like it was only a matter of time.
Because of that narrow consent. Marty McCary has this podcast, and we've seen Vinay Prasad appear on his podcasts. And it's very clear that the two of them really enjoy being, kind of bouncing off each other, bouncing ideas off each other, because, Vinay is an interesting guy to bounce ideas off, right? He's just a great screen. And this is going to be a huge loss for McCary in the way you could see it. And it's also unclear whether it weakens him in the administration, because he stood up for Vinay all through this episode, even after the first Loomering. And even after the second Loomering, he said, he can't be here, but he's still really a smart guy. One of the, what was the term he used, Claire?
One of the greatest minds of our generation, I think, a genius.
Yeah.
Scientific mind,
Greatest
impeccable scientist. I think one of the greatest scientific minds of our generation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I agree with that, but nobody really cares whether I agree or disagree with that, nor anyone should. But I mean, he'll be missed by McCary, and my question is whether McCary has been weakened politically because of this. And my guess is yes.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be missed by me too, because who am I going to write about now? Now that Prasad's gone, my only beat at the cancer litter. Just kidding.
That is no. He'll be back. We'll be seeing him as a public intellectual. He will not be lost.
Okay.
So you're still needed.
You still have a job.
Still have a job.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we're all covered. Do we miss anything, Claire, on Vinay?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.